Are you really making money on Amazon, or are you just seeing revenue that looks good on paper? Now, when I first started, I thought our best ASINs were doing great. But when we actually looked at our actual profit after storage fees, returns, VAT, and even the inbound costs, it turns out we were barely even breaking even. That's when we switched to using Seller Toolkit, and it showed us a crystal clear breakdown of true profit per unit, flagging the losers and spotlighting the winners instantly. Now today, I want to dive into what's new in Seller Toolkit, give you a live walkthrough of the software that we use to see our profits, and show you how these upgrades can help you stop guessing and start scaling your Amazon business. Okay, so first things first, if you don't know what Seller Toolkit is, it's basically a profit analytics software. Now it does actually a lot more than that, and we're talking about repricing, we're talking about managing inventory, which has gone missing, which other companies charge you a percentage for. This pretty much does it all for just inclusive in the cost, and I'll show you through all of that as well. But I want to talk you through the actual product itself right now and show you everything about it. And obviously, if you're thinking about understanding your profitability better and getting your money back from stock reclaimed and even repricing, this video is going to help you out. So first things first, when we jump into Seller Toolkit, one of the key things I always look at every single day, and again, you can access this on mobile as well, is quite simply here, how much profit and revenue we're generating today. Now, there are three kind of big circles that we look at. So you have profit on sale. So this is how much gross profit you're generating. That's going to be basically the profit after your sales, which you can see here, once you've taken out the Amazon fees and all of the cost of goods. But it won't include things such as like your VA costs or any fixed costs that you have in your business. It's only specifically about the goods itself, which is really useful. And that's really the one number I look at, which is profitability rather than revenue. Now, what you can also see here is number of units and also ROI. Now, what you might notice is obviously it tells you what they are, but underneath you see a percentage number. Now, what you can see is right now it's got today, and that percentage number tells you how you're doing basically against the same previous time period. So for example, right now, we're on like $583 in gross profits, and we're at 102% of that. This is today. So what does that mean? It means yesterday we made slightly less than this, because today I'm slightly above what I made yesterday. So again, if I come over to here and drop down and go yesterday, what you will see is that we got very close, but obviously not as high as we are today. So it kind of gives you a really good idea of how you're performing on the same time period going forward. So we'll come back to today. Now, the other ones that I always look at, you've got reimbursements, which is how much money you should be getting back from any lost stock. And we'll go through that later on. And again, other software services charge you for that. This is actually just part of the fee, which alone is really worth it. Now, the next one is refunds. So it looks at all the refunds that have come in. Also, the number of orders, which you might be like, why is that different to units? Because obviously, sometimes people are going to order more than one unit per order. So therefore, orders is going to be less than units sold. And then obviously your gross margin that you're looking there. So some people like ROI. I like both ROI and gross margin, and I do look at both of them as well. And then also as well, you get some information about reimbursements here. So you've got reimbursements overdue and estimated value. And they have what's known as a H and an M. So H is kind of high likelihood that you're going to get them. And M is like medium likelihood you might get them. And again, this is based on what they've seen, whereby Amazon says, yes, we'll refund that amount, or no, they won't. So you can see for me, I've got like nothing to due. And then obviously in the medium, I've got about $67 or 5 items to be reimbursed. And my admin VA does that weekly. That's why it's not particularly high. Now, the one thing you might notice is it just updated, and it does that every like 15 minutes. It'll keep updating itself. It's constantly pulling in new data from Amazon and it'll keep updating it with what is going on. Now, on top of this, we also have the last orders here, and I'm going to blur some of my information because obviously I don't want people finding the products that I'm selling. But what you can see is obviously here it says the date of the last order. It also tells you information about how much you sold it for, the cost of goods, the fees, the profit, the ROI, the margin, and your inventory remaining as well, which is really useful. Now, top tip for you, obviously, if you're not located in the same time zone as, should we say, where you sell, for example, obviously you can probably tell, or if you don't know, I'm not from the States, but I sell in the US. But what I always look at is this time right here. It tells me the time of the last sale. So for example, right now in Mexico City, it's about 7:27, and this is showing about 6:17. So I understand they're an hour behind, which is great. It just gives me an idea of how much of the day I've got left before all my sales go into the next day. Now, on top of that, down here, we've got a sales graph. So you can kind of see what's going on with my sales over the last 30 days. So we've got here, which is really going to be like profit, number of units. And you can see like we really peaked up around here, and then obviously it's come back down again. We average for about 4,000 a day, and sometimes peak up when we get some big shipments come in as well. Now, on top of that, if you're selling in multiple marketplaces, it gives you a really good idea of how the sales are going. So you say the sales and the profitability, which is really, really good. Now, on top of that, and again, this is just the last 7 days, and you can change it to yesterday, 7 days, 30 days, month to date, anything, or even do custom date range. Really, really simple. Now, on top of that, Amazon charges you fees, and it gives you a really good idea of what these fees are. So you've got here, so FBA inbound convenience. So like what's going on are fees there. Also subscription costs are off the Amazon for being a seller, removal fees, storage fees, disposal fees, customer return per unit fee, and reevaluation fees. We have quite a few fees there, which are going to obviously make a difference for you when you're selling, but it's a good idea just to see what they are. And obviously they show that as well. Now, the next box we've got over here is our profit and loss. And there's one key number you want to know. Now, if I kind of come back up to the top, you've got obviously revenue, and then you've got your ROI and your gross profit, which is great. But the one question you really want to understand is how much net profit am I generating? Now, if I come back to here and I actually go 30 days, what you're going to notice is we've done about 127 over the last 30 days. We're a little bit down on the previous 30 days, and just about 21,000 nearly on profitability, gross profit. Now, what you can do is come over here on the gross profit figure, and what you are going to see is that same number, 20,800 right here. And then it's going to take out lots of all the other fees. So you can see right here, other FBA fees, profit on reimbursements, interest, subscriptions, bank charges, salary. We've got lots and lots of other fees that we take out, not just the Amazon fees, but in this software, you can actually put lots of other costs. And then you also my salary as well. And then what it's actually going to tell you is what your net margin is right here. So this is going to be really useful. So for this month, we're not as profitable as we wanted to be, but right now you can see we're making that 7,200. But what's really important is that's going to be the amount of cash spare in the business after I've been paid, all the bonuses have been paid, everything's been paid in the business. And that's where we're looking at right now. So not particularly amazing, but it gives you a really good idea, and it can kind of tell you how that business is performing. Now, also as well down here, you've got more information. So it shows you profitability, and it breaks it down. Number of units, sales, sales tax, shipping tax, cost of goods, shipping costs, fees, ROI. You can see we're about 27,000. And then also, so it's got the profit over that last 30-day period. Now, just below here, you've got all your inventory. And the key things that I'm always looking at this to give me a really good idea of my business is kind of 3 key metrics. I always look at total unit cost. I'm looking at what's available in Amazon right now, because I'm always getting an idea of the more stock I've got available, obviously the more sales I'm going to make, but the less stock, obviously, more likely, the less sales I'm going to make. Now, on top of that, I'm also going to be looking at then what's going into transfer, which is really once stock comes into Amazon before it becomes available, it's moving around. SC transfer, that's the number that I'm looking at. And then finally, how much have we got inbound? That's a really important one, because obviously that's what my warehouse is shipping. And I just want to make sure those numbers are growing or getting bigger and bigger, which is really helpful. Now, I can look at resale, but I don't really find that helpful, because what we do is we put our reprice up sometimes in certain areas. So the profit doesn't really mean anything, but the cost of goods is pretty fixed. So I kind of understand that. You can also see potential profit. Obviously for me, it's looking about 57,000, and then actual ROIs. You can probably see here my available FBA is running about 37% ROI, whereas my inbound is running 104. Now, I promise you, I'm not going to be getting 104, but we do actually put the price up for the products we're shipping in, and so therefore the ROI is really, really high. Now, the other ones I also look at are stranded. Why? If you get any problems with any listings, or should I say Amazon gates you all of a sudden, you're going to notice that stranded number goes up. We always have a few units in there at any one time, but if I ever get gated, I'll notice that goes up 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe even 100 units, which starts causing a big problem. So it's a really good indicator. It helps you to understand how your inventory is going, which is really good. Now, on top of that, over here, you've got your top sellers, and obviously I'm going to blur my top sellers, but it gives you a good idea of like how many units you're selling, what's the profitability of them, the margin. Really, really useful. So you can just keep restocking them, making sure that you're getting them in. And then finally, remember up here, we talked about this profit and how we had all these costs. And then down here, obviously I've got what those costs are. So I can actually put them all in to help really understand how the business is performing, and really put in not just the cost of goods, but also the operational cost of the business to give me a much better overview of what the true P&L is likely to be at the end of the month. Now, we talked through the home screen, which basically is the same on mobile and also on the actual desktop, but let's have a look at the other options right now. So we'll come into inventory, and what you can see, first of all, we've got lots of different options you can look at. So in stock, out of stock, inbound, reserved, which is obviously that SC transfer. You can also kind of go through to unfillable. The other one I look at a lot is around aging, so how old your stock is. And you can see we've got most of our stock in 0 to 30 and 31 to 60, which is really good. And we do have some older stock, which obviously we're going to need to clear down. We also have losers, so it kind of tells you if the price right now is you're going to be losing money selling at that price. You can click on that, and that's going to show you the products. And then also all the other products. And we've got like 13,000 total ASINs nearly, or 12,500. But super interesting. You can just break your stock down very, very simply. Now, when you come into aging, you can search by title, by SKU, by ASIN, really, really simple. And then obviously it's going to show you the product. It's going to show you the SKU, the ASIN, the condition, the category. And it'll also show you what's going on in the stock. So how much you've got available, how much is being inbound, transferred, and also the age of that stock, which is helpful. And then also what's going on. So your price right now, what your cost of goods are, your fees, your profit, your ROI, and your margin. Super, super helpful if you just want to jump in, start analyzing your stock. And for us, when we go into these, looking at this, one thing I'm really looking at all the time, probably once a week, is I'm looking at that aged inventory. I find that really, really useful. And then also losers as well, because I want to know what stock has my repricer, or we sell our repricer, which is going to be losing us money if we sell it. So I'm going to be always checking that. And also it's quite useful to know what the buy box is here, so I can see how close we are to the buy box, which is really, really helpful. Okay, so the next one you've got is replenish. Now, under replenish isn't actually one that we really use, but you can use it if you want. Really simply, it tells you the product again. I'm going to blur some information out. It'll tell you how many sales you've had in the last period of time. It also tells the supplier. So if you upload the supplier information, you can literally click on that. And then also sort of tells you the previous unit price and all the other information. So if you are looking to replenish, this can be a really good system to use. We actually do it a slightly different way, but it can be very, very useful. And again, you can search by title, ASIN, SKU, doesn't matter. Add inventory is something that's coming up soon, so you can check that, and they're always making updates to the software. Now, the next one is orders, and this is obviously going to help you to understand what's been sold. So again, you've got the same kind of options: what's all, what's pending, shipped, seller initiated, cancel, refunded, replacements, losses, removal, returns, and business orders. And under business, you can obviously break that down even more. Now, the one thing I really like about this is specifically in my business, we're always going to be obviously checking orders, seeing what's being sold. That's very useful. But I'm also going to be looking at refunds. Once a week, we'll go through all the refunds for the last 30 days. And we're just trying to get an idea of, are there any products or any brands that are going on? And if I jump into refunds quickly, what you can see, and if I try and find you an example for this product, which I'm going to blur most of it with the exception of this bit here, it actually tells you what the customer comments are. So once every week, I'm going to jump into refunds, and I'm just going to scroll through the last 30 days. I'm looking for any similarities in brands, any similarities in products, or obviously reading the customer comments as well. If I can see where the customer said something, maybe like doesn't match the description, not what I expected, damaged on arrival, and if I see that repeating pattern, it's going to help me manage that inventory a lot better. So super, super helpful there. And then also losses. So again, if you sold anything for a loss, you can check those sales units very specifically and see what's going on. And again, really helpful for debugging a repricer. Now, when we come into the sales screen, what you can see is a picture of the product. You got the information, so SKU, ASIN, quantity, category, order type, order numbers, for example, and fulfillment tells you the sale price, cost of goods, fees, profit, ROI, and obviously your stock. And you can even go in and edit obviously the cost of goods and do that really, really simply. And I think cost of goods to SKU. So when you go in, you can click on it, and then what you can do is click edit. And obviously in here, you can put in things like editing. If we go to other costs, you can put in your prep cost, and then also you can put in your delivery cost as well. So understand what that is. So you can, so this is going to attribute not only the sales cost, the product itself is in cost of goods, but also the other costs associated with it, which is super, super helpful. And what you can do is turn them on and off in that main display. So if you want to see your profitability without cost of goods, or without the prep fees, or with prep fees, you can share that as well. Super helpful. Now, it can also do FBA shipping. So lots of different information there if you want to put that in. Very, very useful. And obviously supplier links as well. Now, on top of this, we have obviously cost of goods. We just kind of talked about that. Really simple. You can upload your cost of goods or manually edit them. So in there, have the great section of missing. So if you're missing any cost of goods, just go there, add it in straight away. I'll come back to the repricer in a minute. It's got a feedback manager, so you can look at all your feedback. You can reply to the feedback really simply, and it's just going to help you manage that. So really, really useful. And then on top of that, we come down to reports, and there's lots of different reports you can generate, which I really like about this. So you can download reports, cost of goods, full detailed reports, ASIN, SKU update, cost of goods legacy, replan list, orders details, And we use actually a lot of these different reports and we put them into Google Sheets and then generate our own reports based off that. So really, really helpful. For example, one of the ones that we will use are the orders detailed report because it shows profitability. And then we merge it with our buy sheet as well to see of the ASINs that have done really well, where have we previously bought them over the last year? Can we go buy more of them? Really good reorder process. And I really like that. Now, what else have we got here? So the one thing I did talk about earlier is that in Seller Toolkit, what you can actually do is get it to reclaim stock for you. And this is a service that a lot of people pay for and they get charged. Now, one thing I did show you at the very beginning was back here, you have this reimbursements overdue. And what you can get is down here under FBA reconciliation, you can actually use their reimbursements process is going to help you. Now, there are services out there which will charge you anywhere up to 30% of the cost of goods that you reimburse. So for example, the money you get back from Amazon, you have to give 30% to another company. Now, this can be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, especially over the course of a year, if not over the course of a month. And what's really interesting is you can do all of this on this software just as part of the package and they charge you nothing on top, which is absolutely amazing. And what does this do? It really simplistically says it shows you here, you can look at all of them, you can look at overdue, pending, past due. So obviously what you're going to do is click on these and it's going to show you which products you should be getting money back for, and Amazon have not refunded you the money. And so what you're looking here is the ticks. So I'm going to blur out my information, but what you can see is like inventory missing. Say if I scroll down and try and find one. So if I go past due, for example, my team are pretty good on this one. So here we go. You can see like inventory missing, overdue, tick, tick, and we've got one past due. So we have to there go through and try and chase these down. Now, how do we do that really, really simply? It says here, like estimated overdue, because my team have done it. But what you can do is come into reconciliation dashboard, and it's just going to show you more information about it. Now, you might be like, wow, this sounds like a lot. Not a problem. All you're going to do is come down here, you're going to click on raise a case. And what it does is it will just tell you information to copy and paste into Amazon Seller Central, raising a case with Amazon Seller Central that's going to get you that money back. And you can save all that information here, just like my team have done. They're like saving cases, saving information, makes life so much easier. Now, Seller Toolkit will not only do that on inventory, but it'll also do it into your shipments as well. So whenever you have shipments, which are, Amazon checks in 20 units and you ship 21, it's going to help you spot that and obviously jump on it as quickly as possible. So you can see here, we've got lots of different shipments being shipped in, and I can see right now, this one's got a SKU count issue of 1. So I can literally go in to Seller Central and I can raise a case against that. And it's going to give me the information that I need to put into that case ID to get that money back from Amazon, which is so useful. And again, other people charge a lot of money for this. Now, what else we've got? Also uploading cost of goods. You can do it on bulk really, really simply. You can also have users. So you can give them different access levels. For example, maybe editing a repricer or just uploading cost of goods or getting reports. Maybe they don't have to see your profitability. A lot of people right now have VAs wanting them to do things, but they don't want them to know the profitability. This software is really, really good at that. Now, on top of that, also as well, you've got expenses and credits, which is where we talked about it before at the very front, obviously where we talked about how you have costs coming out of the business, which aren't maybe cost of goods, maybe they're other costs. It could be director's pay, for example, then you can put that into here and it's going to take that out of your gross profit figure to give you a net profit figure, which is so helpful. Now, the final part, which I'll jump into, is the repricer. Now, this does have an additional charge, but it is a really good repricer, and I certainly used it for many years of my Amazon selling journey. Even whether you use it or not, you're still going to be able to see it, access, and play with it, even if you don't upgrade, because they allow you access, which is great. Now, what you can see here is obviously loads of information about the products. It kind of gives you buy box, lowest FBM, the change. It kind of helps you track what's going on, which is so, so helpful. Also, so you can have rules and you can create different rules and you can create automations to move between rules, which is really, really helpful. And again, you can edit all them to see like, what do I specifically want to do in certain situations, like scenarios, which I think is really, really helpful and really useful. And then on top of that, obviously you can come in and you can go edit and actually look at all your products and see what's going on with your repricing and edit the mins, the maxes, the margin ROI, for example. So obviously manually controlling that repricer making a big difference. And then also as well, you have what's known as upload repricing file. So obviously if you do automated, you can upload these things as well. This software we've been using for years. I absolutely love it. It's so simple, it works, and it's just constantly being updated with loads of new cool features, but really helping me out in understanding where my business is. You can see how Seller Toolkit takes the guesswork out of tracking profits, managing inventory, and even handling reimbursements, even repricing. Now, whether you're brand new to Amazon reselling or perhaps maybe really experienced, one of the biggest questions people always ask is, where do I go from here? How big can we grow this business? Now, in the next video, I want to share with you from a wholesale seller who I know who did $20 million in sales in a single year. And if you're serious about scaling your business, this video is going to help show you where you can take it. You don't want to miss this out. If you found this video helpful, give it a big thumbs up. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.